Mining in Northern Minnesota by Craig Otremba and Isaiah Hansen. The current day of mining. Minnesota is the largest producer of iron ore and taconite in the United States. As of today, the only previously mentioned range that has the iron ore left is the Mesabi Range. Currently, the only minerals we are mining in Minnesota are taconite, granite, limestone, silica sand, gravel, and sand. In 2011, Governor Mark Dayton created a new mining coordinator and sub-cabinet of top state officials assigned to expedite and coordinate environmental review and permitting for mine projects. Minnesota continues to be one of the strongest suppliers of quarry stone. Taconite is simply a lower grade of iron ore that we have recently learned how to utilize because we are running out of the higher end of iron ore. Minnesota currently has 7 operating taconite plants, which make the pellets. About 44 million tons of taconite pellets were shipped from the state in 1996. That is enough to fill over 500,000 rail cars. The Hall Rust Mahoning mine in Hibbing, Minnesota is the world's largest open-pit iron ore mine. The first ore shipments were in 1895 and are still being mined 114 years later. Originally, the mine opened in 30 separate mines, but later on converged into one big mine. The total ore that has been pulled out of the Mahoning mine is about 1 billion tons, and there's been about 2 billion tons of rock removed. That is over 4 trillion pounds. Now let's move on to the history of mining in Minnesota. In the 1820s, the U.S. military used limestone to build Fort Snelling at the junction of the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers. From 1865 to 1866, there was a large influx of gold prospectors to the Vermilion Lake area. This became known as the Vermilion Lake Gold Rush, although the gold prospectors abandoned the area in 1867. The first granite quarry in Minnesota was opened in the St. Cloud area in 1868. In the summer of 1893, gold was discovered on Little American Island in Rainy Lake, along the U.S.-Canadian border. We then discovered iron ore on the 3 iron ranges at different times. The first ore was shipped from the Vermilion Range in 1884, then the Mesabi Range in 1892, and lastly the Cuyuna Range in 1911. Towns were known to be built around the mines. As the mines were expanded, many towns were moved to new locations because they were built on top of the iron ore. Part of the city of Hibbing, known as the North 40, was moved to make way for the mine expansion. A century after finding vast iron deposits in northern Minnesota, mining interests discovered copper nearby in the 1960s. However, in 1924, the worst mining disaster in Minnesota history happened at the Cuyuna Range. 41 miners drowned in the Milford mine when a nearby lake broke through to an underground mine, flooding the tunnels. Now let's move on to the future of mining in Minnesota. There are 2 companies currently trying to set up different sulfide mine operations in northern Minnesota. However, there are plenty of more opportunities for these mines to be set up in the near future. The Polymet Mining Company proposes to set up an open pit mine to extract copper, nickel, and other metals near the Embarrass and Partridge rivers that flow into the St. Louis River and then into Lake Superior. Luckily, this proposal was shot down recently by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for their environmental review being inadequate and unacceptable. Twin Metals LLC is proposing an underground mining operation that would be a joint operation with the Canadian Mining Company. This mine would locate within 2 miles of the southern border of the Boundary Waters. This would dramatically change the landscape and also the traffic through the areas around it. As you can see in this graph, many of the different job services are on a steady incline. However, in Minnesota, natural resources and mining have declined by 8%. Now you may ask, what is our viewpoint? Well, we view mining in Minnesota as an environmental hazard. Mining companies mine all the resources, and when they are diminished, they move on to a new site, putting the environment in danger. Not only does mining destroy the environment, but it pollutes it as well. The new supposed sulfide mines cause these environmental hazards. Sulfuric acid leaches out metals and chemicals from the waste and creates acid mine drainage, which contaminates lakes and rivers and groundwater. It can also harm human health, fish, wildlife, and damage entire ecosystems. Sulfide mines are known to contaminate underground aquifers of drinking water and known for destruction of habitat. Pollution also occurs years or even decades after the mine's closure. Once these mining companies have depleted our resources and moved on, who will be left with the environmental impact? Mining companies often go bankrupt or refuse to pay for the cleanup when problems occur, leaving taxpayers with tens of millions of dollars in costs. They also have to live day to day while mines are destroying our habitat and polluting our environment. Once these mines have occurred, there is no way of giving the environment back what it has lost. Many of us love to go camping amongst the trees and nature where we can just be free. Once the mines have moved their way through, where will the sites be? Mining will just take away from the natural beauty of Minnesota wilderness. We need to stop the spread of mining in Minnesota before the environmental damage is too great. Now I invite you to help protect the natural beauty we have left. Some like the Boundary Water, or the North Shore, or even Chippewa National Forest, before in the destruction of like iron mines near Virginia, the effects of sulfide mining polluting our lakes, or the Vermilion Range, where there is no habitat left to be seen. I thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope that you better understand mining in Minnesota.